If the gargoyles in The Hunchback of Notre Dame ever made you curious or annoyed, stay tuned as I explore whether or not they're even real. Hello friends and family members, I'm Megan, the fangirl, here to present you with an analysis of one of my favorite Disney movies, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'll assume that everyone watching this is familiar with the movie, but just to do a really quick recap, a judge accidentally kills a woman deemed undesirable by society, raises her deformed baby, tries to kill another woman of the same background, and ultimately falls into the fiery pits, you know, where the wicked get smited and such.
And he shall smite the wicked and plunge them into the fiery pit.
Now, for how serious this movie is, Disney, in their infinite wisdom, decided that it was way too intense and needed a lot of comic relief, most of which is presented to us via three gargoyles, Victor, Hugo, and Laverne. And I get that Victor and Hugo are nods to the author's name, Victor Hugo, but I cannot for the life of me figure out where Laverne came from. It's not Victor Hugo's wife, mother, daughter, nobody! Although that really doesn't matter, because the gargoyles just exist to throw out toilet humor, swat at birds, and just generally dumb down the entire movie. If you can't tell, I'm not a fan. But what I find very intriguing about these characters is that not everyone sees them come to life. Quasimodo talks to them constantly, but if you pay attention, the gargoyles turn to stone figures in the exact same poses anytime another person comes around. So, are they real? Or are they figments of Quasimodo's imagination? Let's look at the evidence and figure this question out. Now, Quasimodo is kept in extreme isolation and he's very lonely, so there's really no telling how that might affect his mental state over the years. Not to mention, all those bells ringing around his skull day and night? He's probably hard of hearing too. Jeez, can this poor guy get a break? But all of those issues do make it very plausible that the gargoyles do not really come to life, that it's all something that Quasi pretends to see and hear. They're the angels on his shoulder to contrast the devil that Frollo is. However, we do see over and over again in this movie that the gargoyles change locations. Basically, whenever the gargoyles are alive and someone besides Quasimodo walks into the room, they completely freeze. And they are made out of stone, which means they are actually move those gargoyles. Well, it's a really debatable question. But, if we look at Quasi at the end of the film when he's chained up to the stone pillars, his outrage at Esmeralda being put in danger gives him enough strength to rip those pillars apart. And sure, it could be like that old urban legend we've all heard about where the mom lifted the car off her baby, which, come on. In what universe is there a scenario where a mother just sets her baby on the pavement and then walks away for a car to hit or park on top of the infant? Why do we believe this stuff? But I mean, yes, we could try to say that Quasimodo breaking free was in that same ballpark of panic superhero likability. However, wouldn't it make a lot more logical sense if Quasimodo had instead put himself through years and years of strength training by moving around his statue buddies? I think it does. So I would piece together that Quasimodo is strong enough to move around Victor, Hugo, and Laverne at will, which is a strike against the gargoyles being alive. Then we have the next obvious issue. Why would sentient statues need to hide their living status? And how did they come alive in the first place? They do live on Notre Dame, which is a gigantic Catholic cathedral, so, witchcraft isn't likely. I'd also guess there would be no way to hex, curse, or otherwise enchant objects in a church like that, and due to the setting, they're probably not demons. But I am not super religious to know what types of things could be slipped into a house of God, but even considering my rough knowledge of religious buildings, I'm assuming that the gargoyles being real doesn't really fit very well, and that's another nail in the coffin against them. But the movie also leaves in some clues that favor the gargoyles being alive. For example, at one point, Jolly the goat is sniffing around, and Hugo drops his stone facade to mess with him a bit. And Jolly has a reaction, so that's a real interaction and not an imaginary one. Plus, I don't think Quasimodo even saw it, so it's not like he just fantasized the whole thing. I mean, that's possible, but it doesn't seem likely. Then, towards the the end of the film, when Notre Dame is being attacked, there are several moments where the gargoyles inflict damage to the raiding party. Most notably, Victor drops a brick and literally breaks a soldier's neck right there on screen for all the younglings to bear witness. So the gargoyles doing actions that have real-world consequences, it definitely gives us a reason to believe that they are real. And I think the moment that settles this issue is Frollo's pre-death scene. He's standing on the edge of the cathedral, about to kill Esmeralda and Quasimodo, but then he loses his footing and falls, grabbing a gargoyle that's attached to the building. That gargoyle briefly comes to life, and Frollo, horrified, plummets to his death. Now, we've never seen anything else other than the 3 comic relief gargoyles come to life at this point, and that scene really seems to suggest that the building itself is alive more so than the individual statues. Which, if we consider that the cathedral is alive, that it's its own living, breathing, so to speak, type of thing, that really changes the context of a lot of different parts of the film. But what it really makes me think of is, you remember that part of Lilo and Stitch where Lilo is praying for God to send her the nicest angel he has, and then Stitch appears? I have an inkling that Quasimodo had that same kind of moment, and being a religious building, it found a unique way to answer whose mother died on the steps outside. But what do you think? Were the gargoyles truly alive and freely thinking for themselves? Or were they just sculpted lumps of clay that Quasimodo drug around like his wooden figures? Let me know in the comments. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun. Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, "Hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that?" Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Fanily. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Fanily and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share 1 or 2 on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos, like you, helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.